Okay, so this is topic 1.3. We're doing corporate governance, right? So basically, you have to take note of a company, how it's structured, right? So you understand the agency problem. If you own a public company, right? A public company, the way it works is you have shareholders, right? These can be me and you when we invest in a company, right? So let's pick a company. Let's pick ShopRite. If we invest money in ShopRite, we technically owners, part owners in ShopRite. Now, are we as owners could see what ShopRite is doing, what ShopRite is, having or doing, what not? We can't, right? We rely on the management. We rely on these people. See these people over here? We rely on these people to make ShopRite good. Because we shareholders, we're not going to go in ShopRite and be like, hey, what's up, lighties? Do this, do this. No, we can't do that. Because as shareholders, we don't have communication to the company. We don't have physically access to the company. We just people who invest money and expect returns and sit at home, right? So the agency relationship, right, is a separation of management and ownership. Now, separation of management and ownership. Get that in your head because MCQ they tell you the exact thing. So separation of management and ownership, right? So shareholders and management have an agency relationship. Why? The shareholders are called something called principals. So principals are called. So just now you'll get what I'm trying to say. See, principals use agents to do a specific task for them. In this case, the principals are us shareholders. In this case, the agents are your management. So an agency relationship exists. Can you see an agency relationship exists? Managements are agents. There we go. I told you that. Shareholders should act to maximize the value of shareholders' wealth. See, in a company, right, we own ShopRite. We as people who own ShopRite, we need to elect a director. That director has to make sure everyone in the business is doing things good, right? Now, at the end of the day, it's very hard for the management to do good. Because remember, if you're a management in the company, right, some people don't care about the shareholders. We're the actual owners and we hire them to do the job of basically making the company profitable. But the people who we hire, the managers, they might not have personal interest to make the company good, right? They might not even do the work because it's not their company, it's actually our company. But you see what I'm trying to say? So there's a real possibility that shareholders or owners will experience losses because managers' decisions are best interest of managers. That's true. When we hire a manager to do something in a company, right? That manager might just be like, I feel like I should take on more debts in the business. But then as shareholders, we know that's bad. But then the managers might just think he's the best thing ever and then do that and then our business goes into losses. So you see what I mean? So this whole relationship between ownership and management separation is called the agency relationship, right? We cannot control what's happening in the company. We are hiring people, managers, directors. We are hiring them to make sure this company operates well. But this company, all the people over here, how do we know that they are going to make this company good? They can just be like, I'm going to do anything today, I'm going to do anything tomorrow, and cause a big, big, big business crash. So you see what I'm saying? So the agency problem, right? Now, whenever they mention agency problem, uh, okay, so agency problem. So the same problem I just mentioned now. That is concept to explain the point of relationship. See, a principal agent relationship exists, right? Shareholders are principals, management are agents. I told you that, right? The agents act on behalf of the principal, the shareholders. Conflict of interest might arise, right? Because think about it. One, the manager might think something else, the shareholder might think something else. So that's conflict of interest. So obviously, separation of management in the firm causes conflict of interest, right? Also, it causes agency costs, right? Because if the business now takes on debt and then suddenly it can't pay its debtors, it goes into liquidation. That's costs, right? All those are costs. Direct or indirect costs, right? Now we're going to discuss what's direct and indirect costs just now. Now, principal agent relationship, right? So, Shareholders and company executives, CEO. Basically, company executives is CEO. CEO. CEO, right? Okay. So shareholders and CEO has a principal agent relationship, right? Well, to be honest, anyone in the company, shareholders and anyone in the company, shareholders and management, shareholders and the CEO, shareholders and directors, all have a principal agency relationship, right? Also, the board of directors kind of have an agency relationship with the CEO because the CEO and board of directors, they're two separate people, right? So they kind of have the same relationship. Because the CEO, he makes sure the board of directors make sure the CEO does all the work. The board of directors is very high up, then you get the CEO, right? So board of directors need to make sure the CEO is working good. Also, another form of agency relationship, not actually dealing with companies, but just general, is investor and fund manager. So, if you look at an essay question, the revision pack, they had something got to do with agency essay, and in the last point they had discuss the agency relationship between institutional investors. And institutional investors, I discussed in my previous video, was basically like companies that invest for you, or insurance company, pension fund companies. You give them the money and they will invest in companies for you. So the investor is like us people. The fund manager are like the companies we give the money to invest for us. So we obviously have a principal agency relationship with them because we're relying upon them to do a duty for us. You see, that's agency. They are an agent for us. So any person is an agent for us, doing something for us. Principal agent relationship, right? If you want someone to go to a shop for you to buy bread, for example, right? That's a principal agency relationship. If you send him to go buy bread, he might just take the money and run away and go to Madagascar, right? He might do that. So you see, principal agency relationship. How do we know that that person who's going to go and buy bread at the shop actually goes and buy bread? We don't know that. He can take his own interest into account and go and use that money to spend on drinking milk, right? He steals a cow and he drinks milk from the cow. So basically, that's the principal agency relationship. We hire someone to do something, but like we do not know, we're not sure if that person will do it. So what are the problems? If they ask you to discuss problems, right, just know two very concrete ones, because in the essay I saw they only asked for two. um so the best one I think is the separation of ownership and conflict of interest. This is the easiest one. Separation of ownership, obviously, like the shareholders cannot manage the operation of the business directly, so they hire directors and whatnot, right? Conflict of interest, the goals of the management who you hire might not be in line with your goals as a shareholder. If the management thinks that it needs to take on more debt, you might think that, hey, no, debt is dangerous, don't take. That's conflict of interest. Risk aversion. You, the shareholder, might not like risk, but the management might like risk. So because they like risk, they might take out so much loans in a business. But you like, no, 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 loans are very risky. So you not risk aversion. I'm sorry, you are risk aversion. You like to prefer risk. No, prefer less risk. Information asymmetry, access to information. So remember, directors, managers, all that in the business knows more information than you because they're in the business, and you don't know any information. So the decisions they make might not be, might not look good. If you like basically, if they made a decision, you can't be like, hey, why you made that decision? No, because you do not know what the company is experiencing in the inside. So you can't be like biased or whatever. So what are direct agency costs? Right, these costs are direct to the company, right? So let's say if the company, the CEO, wants to have a holiday kind of meeting or whatnot, an expensive resort or whatnot, that's a direct agency cost because the agent is making that cost happen. You see what I'm saying? Another way is managers where they do some stupid stuff and the business takes on losses. That's your agency cost because the agent was there, you hired, and the cost is there because of him. That's an agency cost. Other direct cost is was monitoring. Okay, so you know when you audit in a business, that's also a direct cost because you need to make sure your agent is doing the work properly. So you'll hire auditors to audit all the financial statements, all your management and your people you hired made. So you see, so because of them, you have to do audits. So that's a direct cost. Indirect cost is opportunity cost. There we go, eco. So, uh, right. So an opportunity cost is another something foregone. So basically, this whole paragraph, what is saying, if you have money, right, you can either do A with it or B with it. If you do A with it, the opportunity cost is B. If you have R1,000,000, right, you can either buy more equipment for your business or you can buy more land. If the business pick more equipment, then the land is opportunity cost. So yeah, that's an opportunity cost. That's indirect cost, right? Um, and then solutions to the problem. The most common ones here is accountability, transparency, and increasing corporate governance. Now, transparency and accountability, although if you read this, it might look alike, it's not alike. Transparency is communication. Think of transparency, phone, communication. Clear communication between management and stakeholders. Right? Accountability. You have to accountability. Be accountable for your decisions. So people at the top side as the directors have to be accountable to the shareholders of what happened in the business, right? They mustn't lie and whatnot. Another way of solutions to the agency problem is give salaries to all the people, the management and all, based on the company's performance. So obviously now they'll want the company to do good because they'll have a higher salary. So that's another way of doing it. Increasing focus on corporate governance, King Ivy. So make sure you follow corporate governance. If you follow corporate governance, most likely your company will succeed and be good. Now, corporate governance, right? What is this? Corporate governance are basically rules, govern procedures, regulations on what the company must do in order to be good for the shareholders. To make sure the shareholders and company are acting good, the most, the best, right? So, see, management should ensure the company adhere to ethical standards. Management should ensure the company's financial position are reported to the shareholders. Make sure it's complying with regulations. Make sure it's doing schemes like CSR, all those donations. Make sure it's doing good for the community. Make sure everything is going good for the company. That's corporate governance. Now, King IV helps the company to do corporate governance. So basically, it's a set of rules the company must follow. That's basically what it is. A set of standards company must follow in order to help them do corporate governance. The purpose of the King IV. So the purpose of King IV is also to make sure that the business follows corporate governance better, right? And all these are not testable after the slides of here.